So in this lesson, we continued practicing with the focus directrix definition of a parabola, where we define as a parabola as the set of points equidistant from a point to a line. So find the equation of the parabola that has a focus of 3, 4 and a directrix of y equals 8. So I want to find the set of points that are equidistant from 3, 4, that's our focus. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's y equals 8. So in class, we said, well, the first thing that we've got to do is find the vertex, which is the midpoint between the focus and the directrix. So if that's y equals 8 and that's y equals 4, that's going to be 3 comma 6, because 6 is in between 4 and 8. So I've got my vertex now. And my parabola definitely has to be concave down. It has to be concave down because I can't touch that directrix. Now remember, you've got two ways about going about these problems. You can pick your favorite point, call it x comma y, and say the distance from the focus to the parabola is the same as the focus to the directrix. Sorry, from the parabola to the directrix. Focus to parabola, parabola to directrix. So we've got 3, 4, xy is always the parabola. I know that y value is 8. I don't know the x value, though. So we say that distance, the square root of x minus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals the square root of, now I'm going to do parabola to directrix, x minus x squared plus y minus 8 squared. I don't need the square roots. I'm not going to touch the x's because I'm solving for y here. I'm solving for y, so I have to square that out. Y squared minus 8y plus 16 equals, that goes to 0, y squared minus 16y plus 64. I've got a y squared on both sides, so I can subtract that away to get 0. I want to get my y's to the other side, so I'm going to add 8y minus 64 minus 64, because I want to get y all by itself over here. Negative 8y equals, I've got an x minus 3 quantity squared minus 48. To get y by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 8 and end up getting 1 over negative 8 times x minus 3 squared plus 6 equals y. Now, you could have skipped all of that by saying, hey, coach, my vertex is 3, 6, so I have to go right 3 and up 6. And how do I get that leading coefficient? Well, you find the focal length. Our focal length is focus to vertex. How far away is that? Well, they're 2. Multiply it by 4, it's 1 over 4p, so 1 over 8, but because it's concave down, I've got to stick a negative in front of it. And that's the equation of our parabola you would get if you did all that lovely algebra, or if you just said, I know my transformations and my leading coefficient is 1 over 4p. But make sure that it's negative because that parabola is concave down. Find the equation of the parabola whose directrix is x equals 2. Hold on a second, this is different because I've got an x equals 2 directrix. X equals 2 lines are vertical. That's x equals 2, that's my directrix. And my focus is at 4, 1. So wait a second, this is a sideways parabola. We still go in the middle, but the middle is now right there. That's the point 4 comma 2. That's my vertex. My vertex is 4 comma 2. Well, this parabola has to be opening towards the right, like so. And we play the same game. Pick your favorite point, call it x comma y. That distance has to be the same as that distance. Well, what point is that? Well, I know x equals 2. I don't know what the y value is. So if I use my distance formula, I'm going to say change in the square root, and I don't even need the square roots. I think we're at the point where we can skip writing the square roots. I'm going to get x minus 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals, now I'm going to do point to the directrix. x minus 2 squared plus y minus y squared. Things are different though. Sideways parabolas are going to be x equals parabolas. Sideways parabolas are x equals. So I'm going to leave y alone. I'm going to leave y alone and work with x's because it's now sideways. So I'm going to square x minus 4, x squared minus 8x plus 16, plus I'm going to leave that y squared alone there, equals x squared minus 4x plus 4. That goes to 0. I've got an x squared on both sides, so we can say goodbye to those. I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to add 8x over. 16, I'm going to switch the order here because I can, equals 4x plus 4 minus 4 minus 4. So I get y minus 1 squared plus 12 equals 4x. Divide by 4, and I get 1/4 y minus 1 squared plus 3 equals x. Now looking back, I made an error in the vertex here, so shame on me. Shame on me. What point is that? That's 3, 1. That is 3, 1. No idea where 4, 2 came from. That is the point 3, 1. My mistake. Don't do what I just did. That's the point 3, 1. The formula changes a little bit when we're working with sideways parabolas. It's first of all, it's x equals. We still have the 1 over 4p. But now it's y minus the k value, y minus y squared plus the x value, because I want that y value to go to 0 to get that number there. So the formula changes a little bit, which is why I think it's just easier to always use the distance formula, because that's always going to work. So find your vertex. You can still use that same formula, except your y value is on the opposite and on the inside, while your x value is on the outside now. For the graph shown, state the focus, directrix, and the equation of the parabola. So I need a focus, a directrix, and the equation. So, well, the directrix is the line. Check your scale here. That's 1. That's a half. So that's got to be at 1/4. So that's the point 0, 1/4. The vertex is at the point 0, 0. But the directrix here, there's -1. There's -1/2. Y equals -1/4. So I know the equation. It's opening up. Y equals x minus 0 squared plus 0. Well, what number goes out front? How far away is the focus and the vertex? Well, it happens to be 1/4 away. So to get that number, we multiply it by 4, which is 1, so I get 1 over 1. Cleaning this up here, we get y equals, well, x minus 0 is x squared, times 1 is x squared plus 0. This is the plain old parabola, y equals x squared. Y equals x squared, the parabola you've been graphing since 9th grade, that parent function there has a focus of 0, 1/4, and a directrix of y equals -1/4. Here I have a focus. Here's my focus of, what is that, 7, 0. A directrix of x equals -1 because it's a vertical line. So we got to be careful here because I've got a vertical parabola. I'm going to get my vertex right. My vertex is 3, 0. So when I write the equation, it's going to be x equals. What is my focal length? How far away is my focus from my vertex? It's 4. Multiply it by 4 is 16. 1/16. Y, we put the y value in there, minus 0 squared plus the x. So those get switched there. The y value gets negated and put on the inside. The x value goes on the outside. So you might see this written as x equals 1/16 y squared plus 3.